My boobs got bigger, so that was a plus.
Hey.
I went from like the itty bitty titty committee to like the itty bitty titty committee. So I was good.
The birth control pill, the implant, the pull-out method, condoms, IUD, the vaginal ring, cycle tracking, the birth control shot. There isn't a shortage of options when it comes to birth control, but you may feel like there's a shortage of clarity around which is the best for you. And while no one can answer that question but you and your healthcare professional, hopefully hearing other women speak candidly about their methods helps you with your decision about yours. Hi there, lovers and friends. Yo, I am so over the moon to share this video with you guys. Now, most of the time I really love my job, but sometimes, and like this is one of those times, I just feel so overjoyed and in my purpose and in my flow and amongst my people, and I'm just really grateful to present this video to you guys. But before we do that, I have to introduce you to somebody, which is Bedsider, and they are my partner on this video. Bedsider.org is a free birth control support network for women 18 to 29. Now, Bedsider does not care if you are using the pull-out method, condoms, the pill, or an IUD, an implant, whatever it is that floats your boat. They just care that you have the power to decide. This video in particular is in conjunction with their Thanks Birth Control campaign, which in essence is exactly how it sounds. So I want to take this opportunity to say thanks, birth control. You have done so much for me. I am on 2 different forms of birth control right now. I have an IUD, a copper IUD, which I've had for the past 2 years, which I use to prevent pregnancy. And I'm also on the pill, the hormonal pill, and that is to control my acne, which is why I get to wear less makeup these days. So I want to say thank you for that, for giving me the power to decide and also the power to be and feel like my best self. But enough about me. I want you guys to meet all the women in the group who are incredible and the different variations of birth control that they're on.
I am on the NuvaRing, which is kind of new for me. Well, I've been on it for like a year now, and I like it a lot. I think kind of standard is when you're a kid, they say like you can go on the pill, and the pill is like your normal go-to. And I think recently people have become more creative and opened up new options for me, and the NuvaRing was one of those.
I am on the Nexplanon. I think I said that right, and that's the implant that you put in your arm, and it just feels like this little like plastic rod, and it's just sitting right there.
I am on the hormonal IUD, so that's the Mirena. I've been on that for about...
Hello, sister.
Hey. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I've been on it for about a month and a half, 2 months now. I got on it in early May.
I'm on the copper IUD as well.
Oh, my real sister, my twin sister.
Yes.
We're cousins. I still family.
So I'm currently just using the pull-out method with condoms. That's what we're doing right now. Yeah.
So I am on the pill right now. I'm also, if it's like a random sexual experience with condoms, and if it's like a partner too, I'll do the pull-out method with its trusted person.
As you can tell, it is a diverse range of different types of birth control that women have used and felt successful on, but I also asked them what else they used and what maybe did and didn't work for them in the past.
Yeah. I originally started off, the very first birth control I ever had was the Depo shot. And I gained 17 pounds in high school. Wow. I went from being like a flyer and cheerleader to like the base and then like the back spot, you know. It was like, and then I'm this tall, so at this point you're just like appeasing me. Yeah. So it's like I gained a lot of weight. Actually, I think I got acne from it. I've never really had issues until I got the Depo shot. I did it one time and it scared the life out of me. So I went a long time without birth control, and I was doing the pull-out method for a long time.
Yeah, the pill again was like a little hard for me. It helped clear up my acne, the first pill I was on, but then I'd have certain times where I didn't have a gynecologist. And so, you know, I'd mess up that's another reason why I like using what I use now, because I don't like switching from like one medicine to another, and like it'll change my hormones.
So I was on birth control for like almost a decade. I was on it since I was like 17, and I honestly had no problems with birth control pills. I like never gained weight. I didn't have any skin problems or anything. I was just on the pill. And then what happened was I went vegan, and I was like trying to be all like non-hormonal and trying to like do things like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to, so that's why I wanted to do the copper, because that has no hormones. And then when I did that, I had it in October.
But it was just like I was having the heavy bleedings. It just didn't work for my body.
This seems like a simple question that's explained with the title birth control, but in truth, there's a lot of different ways that women say yes to birth control. And so I asked the group, what's your reason?
So I use birth control. I'm not always sexually active. I'm kind of on and off. So it's not always tied to like being concerned about getting pregnant, although that's obviously a reason. I like to just be in control of like my body and my hormones and know when my period is coming, and you know, just have a handle on all of it. You know, it makes me feel like an adult, like a woman, you know, like it just, yeah, I'm handling shit. Every time I put it in, I'm like, good job, baby. You did it again. But yeah.
It's been great. I got birth control when I was 17. I wasn't sexually active yet, but my periods were all over the place. Like I had maybe like every 2 weeks and every 3 weeks, and they'd be super heavy one time and then not heavy another time. And it's just a nightmare. Like you always have to have pads with you at all times or whatever you're using. And it was just a nightmare. Like I was doing sports, I was working, I was in school. Like it was just not doable.
I use birth control because I don't want to get pregnant. I'm not at that place yet in my life where I feel like, yes, I am completely prepared. I think the kind of birth control that I use, with the IUD, there's a bit of like, well, if it happens to it, because we're not using a barrier method protection. And so that I think is like my halfway consolation prize of being like, I'm open to it, but I'm still closed for business because the fairy's up there chopping the sperm. But I definitely, and I also use birth control for skin and for acne treatment. So it's like a dual purpose, awesome, magical part of my life.
Birth control has allowed me to have the control and also the freedom to enjoy my body the way I want without feeling like, I don't want to say consequences, or like just putting myself in a situation that I don't think I'm ready for, aka being pregnant.
With the Mirena, it's been great for me. I haven't had a period since I bled for about a month and a half. Which wasn't too bad. It was like really light spotting. So wearing a panty liner was
Considering you were always bleeding.
Yeah, was chilling. I was so excited, and a lot of people are it has kind of stigmatized about like not bleeding, but for me personally, like I'm all for it. I don't want my period right now, like at all. You know, I don't want the cramps. I don't want anything.
I like condoms because I feel like I'm not the only one who should have to worry about this in the relationship. You know, like why is it all on me to protect us from having a baby? Like why is that all that stress on me? So it's a way that I can be like, go get those condoms. You're paying for that. You're doing that. Like let's share this responsibility.
We often think of birth control as something that we take, but in actuality, it really is something that gives back to us. And so I asked the women, in what ways has birth control impacted your life?
I like the new ring. I have control over it. Is it weird? I like know my body a little bit better because I'm like more comfortable down there.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, because it's like, at first.
Such a good sound though, by the way.
Well, because you know, when you're a little girl, you're so scared of your, like, you know, like, it's just like, they don't teach you to communicate with your body as much. So it was a little weird at first for me, being comfortable with the idea of like going in there, taking it out, doing it every month. But now I use that, and I use the Diva cup, and I'm like, between these two friends, I have my whole situation set up, you know, like I know what to do every month. Like I like the practicality and the tactile function of it, you know, like it just kind of like, it works for me.
I haven't really ever had like acne, so that's always been nice. I didn't really need it for that. But it did just kind of like make my complexion a little bit better, which was nice. And yeah, that's been my experience with the pill. It was good, I liked it. I just didn't want a period anymore. So I went and got, not tested for the IUD, but just like kind of thought about the Nexaplon at first, but that kind of scared me. I didn't really want it in my arm. But then I was like, invasive, kind of the same thing, but 5 years, over 3 years, I wanted the 5 years. So I could just kind of do what I wanted, have sex however many times I wanted in a day and be cruising. So it's been good for me.
So once you get it, it's like, if you don't have those period experiences, and even when you do, you don't you don't even have to worry about it. It's just kind of happening. As long as you know she's there, it's like the best feeling ever.
By far, my favorite part about throwing the Thanks Birth Control party was the female camaraderie. It was the sharing, it was the learning, the laughing together. I was actually directly inspired by this taping to go and get myself the menstrual cup because someone spoke about the relationship they felt they created with their cervix and with their vaginal canal by reaching in every day and actually looking at what was coming out. And I'm like, I want that connection too. And that happens all the time. Women educating and supporting one another. And oftentimes when it comes to birth control and specificity, we're not getting this information from our schools and we're not getting it from our family members or from our teachers. So it does end up being a lot of peer-to-peer education. So I asked the women in the group, has there been a friend or somewhere close to your age group that has influenced your birth control experience, or have you influenced someone else's?
So the first person to tell me about birth control was my friend Demi. She's like my, I don't know, her and her mom talk a lot. She was an only child and her mom was like open to talking about so many things. And like my sister said earlier, we grew up in kind of a religious household to where it was assumed that you weren't going to have sex until marriage. Like that was just the idea, was you're not going to have sex until marriage. And so my friend Demi and I were both in committed relationships in high school, and I had sex at 14. I was in a committed relationship at 14 to 18 and had sex with the same guy. And she told me about birth control. She was like, what, you're using the pull-out method? That's crazy. Don't keep doing that. You know, let's get you to an OBGYN. And I was like, what's an OBGYN? And I hadn't asked my mom about that. So she helped me make an appointment. So I made sure to pass that information along to my sister as quickly as possible. Right. Yeah.
My sister, right over here actually, is the first person who told me about birth control. I think that's pretty, you know, standard. We actually grew up in a Christian community, very conservative. So it was always like, let's get birth control for our acne, you know, and that was kind of like the way in. And people kind of knew, you know, like if you're on birth control, you're gonna start thinking about having sex. And I was in high school at the time, and I was like, I really want to have sex, you know. So like, I didn't really have anyone in mind, but I was like preparing. I was, you know, I'll get the flow.
So my sister's 11 years older than I am. I'm the oops baby by far. So she was already like late 20s at that point, and I just wanted to talk to somebody about it. My friends were all on it. They're all like sexually active, but I don't know, I needed like a more serious like sit down conversation about it. My mom's not closed off at all, but I don't know, I wasn't ready to just bring it up to mom yet. I'm the last child, so I was like, she's kind of like think something, I don't know. So I talked to my sister about it. I also wanted to know about like gaining weight and like acne and stuff like that, and all the stigma that kind of comes with it too, because a lot of people would be like, oh, you're on birth control, or like, I don't know, I was kind of nervous to get any kind of flack for it. So she talked to me about it, and then she brought me to her gyno, and I got on the same pill she was at because we had pretty much the same body type and all that stuff. So I trusted her, and I trusted her gyno, and then it was a really easy day.
So my friend helped me get birth control by just kind of being there for me on FaceTime. She couldn't actually be there the day before she had got her Nexaplon, and I couldn't be there for that. So then she FaceTimed me during this procedure and just kind of talked to me the whole time that this was happening. Even talked to my doctor a little bit, like kind of chatted just so she could hear. Like she's down there doing whatever, and I'm just like, hey, da, da, da. And she's like, are you good? How's it going? Like, I'm just walking to class. I'll just sit down. Tell me about your day so you're not thinking about the pain. And I'm like, well, so far, you know, I ate this for breakfast, and that's it. That's my whole day. But she's just like, well, let me tell you about my day. So this boy, he did yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, tears just rolling. I'm like, you're right, okay. But it was nice having her at least on the FaceTime. And my friend my other friend had drove me there thinking, because she had got the IUD, thinking that I wasn't gonna be in a whole lot of pain, but I knew I already had like complications, so I was already kind of expecting it. But she was like, I'll wait in the waiting room for you. And I came out and she's like, oh my God, I should have went in with you, shouldn't I? And I was like, it's okay, just take me home.
One friend on FaceTime, one friend in the waiting room, and what, like your mom on deck?
No, sadly, no.
Mom was helping the doctor. Mom was the doctor.
My relationship with birth control has been 100% personal. I don't think there's ever been someone before who has taken me or who has taken it upon themselves to educate or encourage me. It's all been me going out to a local clinic, doing research online, finding out which one works best for me. I haven't even had a gynecologist for a long period of time that I've trusted in that way. So it's a kind of a catch-22 of a good and a bad thing. I think it's good because it increases my relationship, because it is deeply personal and it is a decision that I am making out of my own empowerment, my own research. But I also do wish that I did have someone who held my hand on this journey a bit.
In high school, I lost my virginity when I was like 16. I didn't have sex for a long time after that, but I kind of got I got swindled into it. And I had a dance mom she was like a senior, I was a freshman, so I used to go over her house all the time. I'd spend the night, so she pretty much called me her daughter. And the moment I told her, that was the first thing she said, we're going to get birth control tomorrow.
And the last question I asked the group, which I'm also going to ask you, and I want you to write this in the comment section below. What is one thing you would say to birth control if it was sitting in front of you right now?
You have gotten me through a lot, let me tell you. Just in terms of having better sex, just because I'm not as into my head. In terms of knowing my body, because I probably would not put my finger at my vagina unless I was inserting a tampon or something like that. I would have no real reason to feel let me see what's happening in there. So thank you for that.
Oh, you really have been an excellent addition to my life. You really have been that friend that I've needed in times that I didn't know I needed a friend. You've been dependable in ways that I'm probably not dependable. And I'm sorry for not taking you on time every day. I know it's so easy to just put an alarm on, and I blame you sometimes, but I know that you're doing all that you can do, and I totally adore you for that.
I would like to say to you, birth control, you have changed my life. I have done so many great things on you, with you. Yeah, I don't know. Birth control has you've been great. I couldn't thank you enough for changing my life.
Birth control, if you were here, just thank you. I don't know, there's just really, it's a really beautiful experience to have that control over your body, and nobody else can do that besides you. So I think it's really important just to have you. Like you said, we'll fight for you. So yeah, don't mess with it, because we'll come after whoever's messing with it.
If there is one thing this video taught me, is that everyone has their own journey when it comes to birth control. And if you are just starting your journey or getting back into it and wanting to find your way, and you haven't found a birth control that is right for your body and your lifestyle, go over to bedsider.org right now. They have a wealth of information about the different types. In addition, they can help you locate a clinic which can answer even more of your questions. And speaking of questions, bedsider.org is also a place to go for information and tips on sex, on relationships, on love. So y'all know I'm over there all the time bringing information I can give back to everyone else. And speaking of giving back to everyone else, if you felt empowered and inspired by hearing women declare their love and declare their form of birth control, a conversation that I think should be had way more often, because majority of us will have some form of interaction with birth control during our lifetime, I want you to use the Thanks Birth Control hashtag on whatever platform you feel comfortable to continue the conversation. Share your story, talk about how birth control has helped you feel like you have the power to decide. Go in the info box below for more information on Bedsider.
Black or grow like DGS.